Recording. All right, so this is going to be take 9. We're going to talk about critical listening skills and action.
So we're going to talk about some critical listening skills that you need to try to work on in order to prepare yourself to do anything in audio. One of the best tricks I've found is sitting outside and listening, just absorbing your environment. Try to figure out directionally where cars are going, where they're coming from. Those directional changes have to be focused on. You know, as a regular listener, things happen around us. We don't really notice it. To develop critical listening skills, you have to be able to identify where different directions of sounds are coming from, what frequencies they are, and how they relate and react in a normal listening environment. So I've always found that going to the mall, watching people walk around, just do some mall watching, but do mall listening. Psychoacoustics play a big part in the way we perceive sound. The understanding of that is going to take a lot of time and a lot of practice, but critical listening deals a lot with those things, which we'll break them down in later tutorials as masking concepts. Ideally, the easiest way to start is just to listening to your environment around you. Start to establish where things are in relation to where you're standing, say listening in the backyard or while you're walking down the street. Try to listen for cars, dogs barking, cats, water running, buzzing of electrical lights at night. You know, if you go out at 3 o'clock in the morning, you'll hear a distinct buzz from the street lights that isn't present to the ear earlier in the evening when the lights are on. Starting to figure that stuff out helps you kind of listen behind the veil of our normal environment, the normal way we perceive sound around us. You need to be able to identify how far, how close things are. You need to be able to identify what frequency ranges they fall into. High frequencies, mid-range, or low. Those basic concepts are going to take you a long way, not only as far as what instruments and where we call it the tonal domain, where they fall within that domain of 20 hertz to 20,000 kilohertz, which is the frequency range of human hearing. But focusing your hearing on things that are distant, such as a car driving by, we call it the Doppler effect in post-production, where a sound comes from far away, comes close to you, and passes. Having a realistic perspective of how that translates to the ear in every environment is a very useful tool. It starts to train your ear to listen to details you normally would just absorb as part of the background. Consider when you're in a restaurant having a conversation. The noise of the kitchen, the noise of other conversations tends to blend away. Our hearing as humans is adaptive. We shut out things that annoy us. If you live next to a busy street, if you live next to a train track or in the airport flight patterns, we tend to kind of shut those things out after a while. Our ears selectively adapt to ignore that stimulus. So the idea is to learn how to control that to an extent, be able to utilize it as a tool. So start listening to the airplanes as they're far away and they get closer. Pay attention to how the sounds reflect off the walls and environment around you, the fences, your neighbors, the cars. Those kind of things are really going to help you zero in while you're mixing on things like snare drum reverb. Being able to visualize a stereo image out of drum overheads, to be able to add reverb and delays to a vocal. It always helps to have a realistic understanding of how sound really works in the real world in order to manipulate it as an effect later.